Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Chad Wilson and you're watching this video for ENGI 2304. I want to talk about sources briefly and really about academic honesty and the academic honesty policy. Now, for the very first assignment for this class, you had to read through the schedule, the policy statement, as well as the academic honesty policy for the University of Houston. By being a student at the University of Houston, you've agreed to abide by the academic honesty policy. And I've even asked you to complete a quiz where you sign your name stating that you have read through all three of those documents and you understand them. The academic honesty policy does not cover absolutely everything that a student could possibly do that could be considered a violation of the academic honesty policy. It is purposefully vague because there are things that it is specific in some ways, but it's vague in others because things come up that haven't been considered before. And it's only then that they can be added to the academic honesty policy. For instance, what do we do about AI like ChatGPT? These things are revolutionizing writing. And I just want to let you know, in an academic setting, at least in this class, any use of ChatGPT is considered a violation of the academic honesty policy. And it is clear, and in fact, in that quiz, it states that. And by signing your name, you are saying you understand you will not use any AI program to write your papers or to help you write your papers. So, don't do it. Now, is spell check okay? Of course. Is Grammarly okay? Sure. But we want to make sure you are able to succeed as a writer once you graduate, as a writer who is an engineer, who will have to communicate. In order to ensure that, you must do the work on your own. Is it difficult? Yes. Does it take time? Yes. Does it take a lot of revising? Yes. Will it be really hard for some and easy for others? Yes. No matter where you are on that spectrum, the work must be yours. You cannot use your mom to write it. You cannot use ChatGPT to write it. So don't do it. Now, does that mean you can't collaborate? No. And in fact, we're asking you to collaborate. We ask you to use the peer review teams so that you can revise one another's work, so that you can review, not revise, you can review and give tips and comments, and then you can revise based on those comments from your peers. And this kind of peer reviewing is done all the time in the workplace. That's why we're asking you to do it here. What won't be done is, as an engineer, if ChatGPT writes your stuff, it doesn't work. Do you remember, you may not have heard, but there was a lawyer who submitted a brief written by ChatGPT. He even asked ChatGPT to verify that all the citations that of the citations of the cases that the lawyer was using as proof for why whatever this brief was, whatever should be done, that they were truthful, that those cases were real. And ChatGPT said, yes, they were real. Submitted it to the court, and now he's facing sanctions because all the cases were made up. It looked like a real brief. It had explanations like a real brief. It had cases like a real brief, but it was all made up. Those cases weren't real, none of it. And so he's facing legal ramifications based on that. As an engineer, the same thing could happen. So do not use ChatGPT. I'm telling you, we consider it a violation of the academic honesty policy. Turn it in, checks for it. If you have a percentage that says it could be written by ChatGPT, you need to revise it. Okay? Do whatever you need to do. You need to write your own work. Okay? Now, can you use sources? Of course. And we do that all the time. Remember that legal brief? Is that lawyer supposed to use sources when they submit their brief? Yes, that's part of their proof. It shows their credibility, that what they're saying didn't just come out of the ether. No, they looked at the previous law. They looked at what established precedent said, and then they said, this is why my client should have this done. Why? Because it's been done before. The precedent was established. As an engineer, you are going to base much of your analysis based on what others have done. And you should cite that. You can use it, but you should cite it. Here's the guideline. Anything that does not come straight from your head onto the paper must be cited. Anything that does not come straight from your head onto your computer screen through your fingers must be cited. You have to, unless it's just common knowledge, unless it's just a fact, right? It may not be that everyone knows it. That's not what common knowledge means. What common knowledge means is that the people who know it for certain. Everyone agrees. Out of all the people who know it, they all agree. There's no disagreement. Okay? And if there's no disagreement about something, because it's a fact, then you don't have to cite it. So you don't have to cite a common formula. For example, you would never cite force equals mass times acceleration, right? But you do have to cite some esoteric formula, something that you found in a journal article that you want to use for your calculations. Yes, you would cite that, but you only find it in that one place. It's not common knowledge, right? It's not found everywhere. It's not just a fact. It's something that you read in this one place, therefore you're using it, and that's fine, but you would have to cite it. Now, citing does not necessarily mean quoting. If you quote, which means using the direct words in quotation marks, you would definitely have to cite it. But what if you didn't use the exact words? You read it and you internalized it, and then you turned around and typed it out? You would still cite it because it didn't come from your head. It came from that paper into your head onto your screen. You would cite it because it came from them. Okay? So citations can be because it's a summary, because it's a paraphrase, or because it's a direct quote. But either way, you have to cite things that don't come from your head unless they're just a fact. For example, the Titanic sank in 1912. If you were writing a paper, something about ship sinking or whatever, did you know the Titanic sank in 1912? Probably not. Not a lot of people actually know that. They may know a general time period, but they may not know the exact year. So, if you do know it just came straight from your head onto the page, then fine. But if you had to go to Google and look it up, or go, hey Siri, what year did the Titanic sink? And Siri just tells you, do you need to cite that? No, because everyone agrees that it sank in 1912. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? So, when thinking about how to avoid violations of the academic honesty policy, here's the takeaway. If it doesn't come from your head, think about whether everyone agrees on it. Is there any doubt that that's the case, that it's just a fact? If so, then cite it. If not, then don't worry about it. It's just a fact, and you don't need to cite it. If you check your Turnitin report, which we ask you to do, we ask you to check your Turnitin report to see if any of it is considered copying. It may be that 20% of your document, it's that the table of contents is the same as some other document, and that's perfectly fine. We're asking you all to use the same format for your reports. Hundreds of students who have done this before you. But if it comes out that the document itself is taken from a source, then we've got problems. If we look at it and put it through the AI detector and it says that 50% of this is written by ChatGPT, or any percentage, it doesn't matter, I just made that up. Any percentage is written by an AI, then you've got problems. Because then we're going to have to see whether the paper violated the academic honesty policy. So in general, just don't do it. Don't use it. Cite your sources. Use work. Use papers. Use formulas. And then cite them. Meaning, put in parentheses after it, give the credit where credit's due. And not only is it about giving credit where credit's due, but it's about not taking credit for something that you didn't do. Did you double check those formulas? Hopefully, but maybe you just assumed, because it was a published paper in a peer-reviewed journal article, that it was true, that it worked, that it did what they said it did, so you used it. That's fine. Make sure they are the ones who get the credit for it, and also that if it doesn't work, it's their problem. Okay? All right. So, good luck. Happy revising.